Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching third part of What If Naruto Was Descendant of Revan. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
When it came to the deaths of his foes who tried to fight or flee his wrath, Naruto's rage was swift, vicious, and unmerciful. However, there was no escape as Naruto cut through the root Anbu, crippling some of them and causing them to die a short time later, and made his way to the cowering members of the two councils. Only the Shinobi Council appeared to be prepared to fight, as they brought out hidden weapons to use and defend against Naruto's strange power. They had seen the Namikaze throw several root Anbu into a nearby wall hard enough to go splat, causing blood to splatter all over the boy, and he somehow made their mid-regions explode out their back with a pushing motion from his hand, while the others were cut down by the boy's lightsabers. When it was just Naruto and the two councils, the boy's clothes, armor were stained with the blood of those who fought him, and his face was that of someone who didn't care if you died. Only if you suffered beyond comprehension. This is treason. Sarutobi, call off the demon abomination right now, exclaimed Homura, knowing Naruto would listen to him. You are the ones responsible for the suffering of the Yondaimi's wife, O esteemed council members, and that in itself is treason, which means you will be executed without a trial, Sarutobi said, seeing the large group of council members look at him with stunned expressions before the movement of Naruto's blades caught their attention again. Did you really think the old man would help you? You bossed him around since I was born, to do your bidding like he was a puppet for you to play with, and then weaken when he began to fight back. Those days are now over. Everything you have accomplished in this world, I will cast it all down at the feet of your tombstones, and I will see to it that your souls never rest. If he were a few years older, I'd take him back to his house after this and give him the night of his life, Asta thought as Naruto came to a halt a few steps away from the cowering council members. What are you? Asked a council member, who had stopped trying to claw his way out of the corner. Me? I thought you already knew? You've been calling me it all my life when I was younger. Demon, Kyuubi, and monster are just a few names. No, I am something else, and something you could never comprehend. I am the light that shines. I am the darkness that covers all. I am Death's master, said Naruto before unleashing his attack that stunned everyone, including Asta when she saw. Naruto had used the force to devour his enemy's life energy and fill his being with it, much to the surprise of everyone around him. When it was finished, the two councils resembled mummified bodies without the wrappings, and Naruto's chakra level increased noticeably. Did Naruto just do what I believe he did? Sarutobi thought as the boy approached him, and the old Hokage couldn't help but feel nervous. Old man, you once told me you were once powerful enough to defeat almost anyone who stood against you, but in your current level of age, I don't think it's possible now, and that problem needs to be changed, said Naruto, as he stowed his lightsabers and channeled the essence of his victims into his right hand, forming what appeared to be a white Rasengan. Does he mean he can? Thought Sarutobi as he felt Naruto send the white orb of life energy into his gut and performed a series of one-handed hand gestures. Forbidden art. Reverse aging jutsu, Naruto said, looking the old man dead in the eyes, and the old Hokage was soon covered in a brilliant light. When the light faded from the Sandaime, everyone gasped at the sight of the old Hokage, who appeared to be in his prime once more. And Naruto, you restored my youth? Exclaimed the Sandaime, his muscles no longer stiff and his lungs no longer short of breath after so many years of smoking that pipe of his. I took the life force you saw me take from them and purified it using a certain seal on my stomach before I recreated it to put in you, because I felt that with the councils gone, the system would need to be restructured, and it is going to need a strong Hokage to keep things in balance when it's all done. In your old age, the new councils could have taken advantage of you, but a much younger, and much more powerful-looking Sandaime will be. Thank you, Naruto. You gave me a second chance when I probably didn't deserve one for not helping you sooner. If there is anything you want of me, ask me, and I will grant it immediately," said the Sandaime as he held the boy, who was now tired and would have collapsed if it hadn't been for his will to live. "I'll get back to you on that old man. Asta. Take me home," Naruto said as he stepped out of the old man's embrace and collapsed exhausted into Asta's waiting hands. He really burned himself out today, both physically and mentally, Asta thought as she soothed Naruto in his unconscious state with her voice to his ear, picked up his helmet with her tail, and vanished in a burst of hellfire. "I think we'll end this meeting so we can prepare for tomorrow when we have to select 2 sets of council members. What happened in here is a triple S-class secret that will be revealed to anyone outside this room," said the newly youth-restored Sarutobi, who was now going to do the damned paperwork and spend time with his family now that he had the energy to do so. Sometime later, Namikaze Estate. Asta placed the boy on his bed, seeing the tired expression on the boy's face, and the day was still young, with so much to do today. However, Asta knew that the boy had been drained beyond what could be done, and that pushing him any further would almost certainly break him. Stroking his hair affectionately, Asta let the boy rest, knowing it would be some time before Naruto awoke again, and decided she needed to speak with the once elderly Hokage. Asta left the room without saying anything and told HK-47 not to bother Naruto unless it was an emergency of great importance. She couldn't let this boy stay in the village any longer, because the loss of his mother, combined with the sense of betrayal of this village on the highest level, was going to crush whatever inner strength Naruto had left. Asta initially felt it was her duty as his loyal servant to protect him from such harm and to care for him as a servant would her master. However, things had changed in the time she had known Naruto, seen him grow into the warrior he was now, and endured hardships such as his from the start. Asta was drawn to him in a way that a servant would not be, as she yearned to hold him close to her bosom and whisper sweet words into his ear to soothe his scarred heart. However, given his current condition and age, it would be unwise to allow something like that to happen to him right now. For the time being, Asta would serve as Naruto's loyal servant, hoping that with time, she would be able to become more intimate with him. She only needed time. Office of the Hokage. As he finished the last of his damn paperwork, the Sandaime sighed and wondered how it had become such a problem when he was older. Oh, no. He had just answered his own question, and the Sandaime couldn't help but smile at what he had done. His smile faded when a female demon lord of a fox appeared before him, looking quite serious, and the man realized it was about Naruto. Another thing he noticed when he looked at Asta was that she was concerned about Naruto after what he had gone through. At the very least, she did not destroy his paperwork this time. "You aren't going to take me somewhere without giving me a say in whether I want to stay again, are you?" said the Sandaime, who felt her heavy glare at him, and the now young man felt some of his newly restored youth leave him. "I'm going to make this short and to the point, as I am in no mood to deal with whatever form of humor you may have, and that I am here to protect the one I serve, and that I've decided to give you a chance of being trusted in knowing that I am having Naruto leave the village for the next few years or until he feels he is ready to return," said Asta, seeing the Hokage not liking the idea, but then again. "I see. When are you leaving with him?" asked the Sandaime, hoping to say goodbye to the boy and hope to see him again someday. "Whenever he feels ready to depart. I'll make sure you get your last goodbye until he comes back whenever his heart calls for him to," Asta said, "but I want to make something clear to you, and you alone right now. When we are gone, I want you to tell the village the truth, and tell them just who the boy's parents are. Repeal that stupid law of yours that got him into so much trouble with the older generation in the first place. I'll make sure of it, but for the time being, I'd like to keep my newly acquired youth and how it was obtained a secret, because many will come seeking Naruto to grant them or someone they love a second chance at life," said the Sandaime, who had used a henge to conceal his young appearance and ensure he acted like his old-looking self. "Not our problem. Do with it as you see fit." Sarutobi, But remember, Naruto gave you a second chance when he could have just made you a corpse like the others, and I expect you to be eternally grateful for it, Asta said as her eyes glowed crimson, and Hiruzen had a sneaking suspicion that if the female demon lord of a fox asked Naruto to take away the Fire Shadow's youth, Naruto could do it. At least she didn't demand a pound of flesh from my body for it, Sarutobi thought as he let her go back to Naruto and went to see his family. Day 2 of Hyuga Estate. Hinata was concerned about Naruto because she missed him terribly after what happened in the village and suspected he was in pain on the inside. She'd asked her father if she could go see Naruto at the Namikaze Estates, but Hiashi said no because the energy-based shield was preventing anything from passing through, and he didn't want his oldest to be hurt by it. Still, Hinata couldn't go out on her own to find him if he was somewhere in the village and try to communicate with herself. As Hinata walked through the streets, he noticed that Naruto was nowhere to be found, and he began to wonder if he was still in the Namikaze Estate, protected by that chakra-like barrier. She was about to return home when she noticed the woman Naruto had identified as the Kyuubi, and she was the boy's caretaker, if her father's account of their relationship was correct. Hinata followed the woman as quietly as she could, knowing full well who she was and what she had done to them nearly a decade ago. They knew it would be foolish to upset the woman after the Uchiha massacre at the hands of Itachi, so they simply decided to leave the demon lord alone. Hinata refused to do so, instead following the fox woman until the female Kyuubi turned around and smiled at the surprised Hyuga girl. She has super hearing because she's a fox, so I guess she heard my footsteps, Hinata thought as Asta approached her, and the Hyuga girl couldn't help but fidget. You've been following me for a while, there kid, Asta said as she noticed the shy girl pressing her index fingers together and looking down at her feet. I wanted to ask you about Naruto-kun, Hinata said, hoping the woman wouldn't turn into a giant fox and gobble her up like some of the parents kept telling their children. I know you. You were that girl in the class he spoke to a few days ago who was blushing up a storm the instant you saw his face when you recognized him. You must be that girl Naruto spoke to a few years ago with his powers to help you get your confidence up, Asta said, seeing the girl blush even more and press her fingers together even more because those days were special to her. Why yes, that's true. I was wondering if I could see Naruto-kun? Said Hinata, wanting to see the pillar of strength who had helped her through the dark days of her early childhood and thank him for what he had done when she thought all hope was lost with her family. Normally, I wouldn't let anyone into the Namikaze Estate because it's quite possibly the most secretive clan in all of Konoha, and for good reason because there are a lot of things deep within it that can't leave the home, which is why the clan started dying out before one Namikaze Minato died, as it required absolute trust in the family, and over time there wasn't much trust to go around. I'd like that Kyuubi-sama, Hinata said, bowing to the woman, who just shook her head at the Hyuga girl and wondered if telling the girl the name Naruto gave her was a good idea. Follow me then. Oh, call me Asta, as that's the name Naruto gave me since Kyuubi is just a title, and it's much better than calling me Kyuubi, Asta said as she followed the female demon lord, looking forward to seeing Naruto again. They walked through the energy dome and encouraged Hinata to do the same, with the shy girl taking small shuffling steps forward before slowly walking through. The Hyuga girl's expression was priceless, as she had felt the hairs on the back of her head stand on end, and it had felt strange for her to go through a wave of strange energy like that. Hinata entered the estate, finding it similar to her clan's compound, as all major clan homes were modeled after one another, and from what she understood, the Namikaze clan was one of Konoha's founding members. They quickly made their way up the stairs to Naruto's room, where Asta let Hinata in after knocking on the door and opening it with Naruto asleep, and Hinata let out a eep before hiding behind Asta. The female fox's tails pushed the nervous Hyuga girl into the room, prompting Asta to send Hinata in. Don't be so shy, Hinata-chan. Naruto-kun won't mind you being in his room with him, and he needs someone to talk to before we leave tomorrow on our journey, Asta said before mentally kicking herself, as she didn't mean to say that, but she figured that maybe the shy girl could help Naruto's mood in looking forward to something when it was time to return to the Leaf Village. Hinata, for her part, simply nodded and walked toward her crush's sleeping form, wondering why he was sleeping during the day. Had she known, it would have devastated the Hyuga girl to the core of her soul, and she would have needed time to comprehend what Naruto had done. Fortunately, she had no idea what he had done, so it was fine for her to feel the rising heat on her face as she saw the blonde sleeping in his bed. He appears to be sleeping peacefully. I'm curious what's going on in his head. Sitting in a chair beside his bed, Hinata noticed him breathing without a care in the world, if his relaxed face was any indication. Hinata noticed a strand of hair fall to the front of his face and moved carefully to move it away. She nearly screamed when Naruto turned his head in her direction, but with his eyes still closed, and it appeared his head was moving towards her, as if seeking affection from her hands. Her adoration. Blushing at the thought, Hinata decided to do just that, running her hand over his face and brushing a delicate finger over his whiskers, which she found fascinating. She blushed even more when Naruto began purring as a result of her actions, and Hinata nearly jumped out of her seat when Naruto began licking her hands as a pet would do for its master to show it cared. Hinata would have retracted her hand if Naruto wasn't nuzzling his face into her hand with one of his hands on her wrist. The smell of pure lavender, said Naruto in his sleep, purring at the scent from Hinata's hand and continuing his actions. Hinata would have blushed even more if she could. He adores the way I smell, thought Hinata as she made a mental note to make sure she had everything she needed to smell like lavender around him. Hinata's thoughts on the matter quickly faded as Naruto's face became agitated, and he now gripped the bedsheet with his free hand. Tears streamed down his cheeks, whimpers escaped his lips, and his breathing became labored as he sobbed. Mother. Forgive me, Naruto said, as the thought of killing his mother hurt him inside, and the pain wouldn't go away no matter how hard his rational side tried. Is she his mother? What exactly did he do? Hinata wondered, having never seen Naruto when he was younger, if Naruto's seclusion with Asta had anything to do with it. Mother! Exclaimed Naruto as he awoke with a start, causing Hinata to fall over in her chair and the Namikaze to breathe heavily. Even if it was a mercy killing, Naruto felt it was wrong to do what he did, and he hated himself for it. Are you okay, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked, seeing the boy sweating profusely after waking up from his nightmare. Hinata? What are you doing here? How much did you hear? Said Naruto, his eyes suspicious and fearful. Hinata pressed her index fingers together on the floor she had been sitting on, unsure whether she should tell him what she had heard him say in his sleep. On the one hand, it could help with the answer to his mother's question, but it could also destroy the bond the two seemed to have, and she didn't want to lose it. I heard why you call out something about your mother and why your sleep and Naruto-kun, but I do not know what, Hinata said, unable to tell him that he had been nuzzling her hand and licking it while saying it smelled like lavenders. I see. I assume you're curious about that because I was an orphan, right? Said Naruto, seeing Hinata nod slightly because she did want to know more about him and she couldn't think anything wrong about him. Right? See, could you tell me about why your mother or why you seem so sad and Naruto-kun? Hinata asked, hoping not to intrude on his privacy. Do you really want to know? Asked Naruto, his eyes tired despite the fact that he had slept for the past 2 days. Yes. I saw you in pain, and I want to help lift it. My mother died, and you were there for me, and I want to be here for you, said Hinata, who couldn't believe she said all that without stuttering, or that she said it at all. Alright, Hinata. I'll tell you, Naruto said before going on to explain about his mother being trapped within her own body at the hands of the doctors in the hospital, about his visit to see her that allowed him to learn the truth, and what he had to do to relieve her pain. He could barely finish the last part of the story. "Oh Naruto," Hinata thought as she saw him look away in shame, and she realized that this was worse than losing her mother. "I'll understand if you hate me, Hinata. I'm not worthy of any kind of love. What kind of monster kills their own mother has the right to be loved by another?" said Naruto, putting his hand to his brow and the memory of killing his mother flashing through his mind. He was surprised when Hinata jumped onto the bed and hugged him, pouring all of her love for him into it, hoping Naruto would realize she didn't hate him. How could she have? He was betrayed by everyone around him, his mother was lost for nearly a decade, and then he had to do the unthinkable by killing his own mother to relieve her pain. "It wasn't your fault, Naruto-kun. Never think it was. You did the right thing even if it felt wrong," Hinata said, holding on to him with her eyes closed, hoping he wouldn't push her away. "Thank you, Hinata-chan, you're the best," Naruto said, putting his hand on her arm and letting out a small chuckle that caused Hinata to open her eyes, only to find him shirtless and wearing only his boxers. Hinata immediately went into a mental overload and fainted on the spot, and Naruto laughed again at this because it would be so wrong to see Hiyashi come through the door next. While still holding Hinata's arm, Naruto shifted their current positions so that he was standing and Hinata was out of his bed like a light. "Master, is everything alright?" asked HK-47 as he entered the room to check on Naruto, as it was his programmed duty to check on the master of the house, which in this case was Naruto. "Yes, HK. Listen, I'm going to go take a shower and be quiet because I don't want to disturb Hinata here," Naruto said as HK-47 walked over to Naruto and saw the unconscious Hyuga on the bed. "Master, if I may, I don't think it's particularly healthy to be bedding the females of your species at such a young age. I was under the impression that humans had to wait a certain number of years before they found the opposite gender and began procreating to make more of themselves," HK-47 said, as he had misinterpreted this moment and did not notice Hinata was wearing clothes beneath the covers that now covered her form. To his credit, Naruto only blushed slightly because the matter HK-47 just discussed with Hinata was very adult-like, and speaking it now before having the talk with a mature responsible adult was dangerous for the not-so-perverted mind. "HK, I'm not betting Hinata, and if you suggest it again, I'll rip out your behavior core and install a pacifist program into it that will make you do gardening outside in a little girly apron complete with bonnet," Naruto said, prompting HK-47 to nod quickly, as any threat by a Namikaze was worth its weight in gold. "Yes, master. What should I do with the Hyuga girl when she wakes up?" asked HK-47, who was the first person from the village to enter the Namikaze Estate since Konoha's founding. "Let her stay until she awakens, HK. She just fainted, so Hinata will wake up later after my shower and when I'm finished getting dressed," Naruto said as he exited the room to take a shower, and HK-47 nodded before proceeding to carry out his master's orders. Sure enough, Hinata awoke about 15 minutes later to find herself in Naruto's bed, and she blushed while thanking Kami that she was still fully clothed. Hinata got out of bed and walked out of Naruto's room to investigate what had changed him into the man he is now. Hinata was walking around when she noticed something that made her eyes widen, and she nearly screamed when her lavender eyes saw the strange figure. "What is it?" "It looks like a metal skeleton, but it walks around like it's alive and doing chores around the house," Hinata thought as she moved quietly behind a nearby couch in the room, watching what was actually HK-47 taking care of some basic protocol droid-based chores. As for HK-47, he knew she was in the room because he had detected the little Hyuga's tiny based movements upon entering the room and had mostly ignored her. It was the droid's responsibility to prevent Hinata from watching him or being scared by him in any way because he liked the idea of being a terrifying droid because that was his programming. "I see you met HK-47, Asta said from behind Hinata, who jumped 10 feet into the air in fear and landed on the comfy couch shaking like a scared rabbit caught by a fox. Given what Asta was, the analogy seemed appropriate. "The Asta-san, I didn't. I'm sorry that I..." stammered Hinata, who was met with giggling at her expense from the Demon Lord. "Don't worry, you're not the only one in Konoha who's seen HK. The Hokage was the first about 3 years ago, and you're now the very first person to see him while inside this house," Asta said, seeing the girl's eyes widen. What I don't understand is what he is." "Oh, I'm sorry HK-san," Hinata apologized, having forgotten that HK-47 was still in the room and was afraid of offending Naruto in some way. "I see no reason to be offended, young Hyuga, as I am not human like you or my master, and find that meatbags, while excluding yourself, are very hateful to what they don't understand. If you must know, I am what you would call a droid, and while not naturally made like other meatbags come to be, I do hold my own characteristics that are most unique," said HK-47, as he stopped his chores for the moment, and got. The only reason Hinata hadn't done so at the time was because he was too taken with HK-47's appearance and was a little afraid to see what the droid looked like. "Enjoying yourselves, I take it?" said Naruto, dressed in his Sith Lord garb, which seemed to fit him better than the Jedi garb Revan had worn and shown him during his training. "Yep. Hinata finally met HK, and I nearly scared her to death," Asta said, laughing at the shy girl's embarrassment and the Hyuga's new red tomato face. "Asta, be nice to our guest now, and stop trying to turn her face so red that she explodes," Naruto said, sitting across from Hinata in a chair. "Yes, Naruto-kun," Asta said, sighing with a pout at having missed out on some fun and deciding to save it for another time. As the day progressed, Naruto began to tell Hinata what Asta had already told her about him leaving for an unknown amount of time to visit the elemental countries and finally get a break from Konoha's suffocation. Of course, Hinata was disappointed, but Naruto had explained to her that just because he was leaving for a while didn't mean she should give up hope that he would return at a later date, and that she should continue to grow stronger so she can heal her clan from within. Hinata nodded, knowing that she would fulfill her dream and trust that if she needed assistance, Naruto would be there for her. Konoha main gate the following day. Naruto stood just in front of the open main gate, with Asta beside him, currently in her Yuko form, as she was not afraid to show it, but felt the need to do so when they arrived at the gate so people would see it and know she was the demon lord they despised so much. People gathered in front of Naruto to bid him farewell because they wouldn't see him for a long time and would miss his presence in the village. Only the Hokage, in his older self, Hinata, Hyuga Hiyashi of all people, Yuhi Kurenai, Inuzuka Sume, and Hitaki Kakashi were among the small group of people seeing him off. They all wished him luck wherever he went and hoped for his safe return to the village. "Do you have any second thoughts about doing this, Naruto?" said the Sandaime, as he saw the boy shake his head and say, "No," to the Hokage, and smiled at them all before putting on his helmet. "I'll be back in a few years, so don't worry about me dying anytime soon. Good luck in getting the two councils reorganized, old man, and a word of advice to prevent a repeat of history. I would suggest getting some of the more level-headed people in Konoha to be a part of them rather than those that just want power over everything," said Naruto, because it would help Sarutobi in the long run to have people who won't abuse their new positions anytime soon. "I'll keep that in mind, Naruto," the Sandaime said, knowing he'd have to be very careful about who he chose for both councils and hoping he got it right this time. "Also, tell that Toad Sanin Jiraiya that if he comes near us during our travels, I'm going to have a few words with him, and show him what I think of his godfather skills," Asta grinned menacingly, making the males in the group shiver, knowing that look was no doubt something no one wanted to face if they encountered it. Poor Kakashi was reminded of the time he accidentally went into the female hot spring while searching for the fire daimyo's wife's cat Tora on the hill above it. He'd slipped and fallen right in the middle of it, with Anko not far behind, and when he could see, Kakashi got a good look at the woman's figure. He also noticed Anko's expression mirroring Asta's right now, just before the special Junin struck and everything went black. Following that, the Cyclops was admitted to the hospital for snake bites, snake poison treatment, blood loss, for obvious reasons, and multiple broken bones throughout his body. "I'll tell him when he gets here next week," said Sandaime, who also wanted to talk to his stupid student about taking care of Naruto and beat the super pervert in his own way. See you around, old man. Try not to age too much while I'm gone, Naruto said, seeing the Hokage laugh but understanding the meaning behind it, and making a mental note not to reveal that he had regained his youth. I'll keep that in mind, Naruto, the Sandaime said as he waved the boy off with the others, and Naruto was soon out of sight, with Asta not to be seen for several years. Along with Naruto and Asta. So, where do we go first, Naruto-kun? Asta asked as she walked alongside the boy, seeing him somewhat deep in thought, and realizing he was going to follow the force to his destination. I'm afraid, Asta-chan, there are so many places to go throughout the elemental countries and so little time for us to do it, but I do believe that Suna is in desperate need of some much-needed help right now, and I have a feeling that it, along with Subaku no Gaara, are going to be in grave danger soon, Naruto said as he walked towards Suna, and Asta wondered if this had anything to do with Shukaku sealed inside the red-haired boy. I suppose there's only one way to find out, Asta thought, looking forward to seeing her old psycho friend again and hopefully getting the sand demon and his vessel out of their current funk. Yep. During their adventures, things were going to get pretty interesting around them. This sand is most annoying, Naruto said calmly as he walked through the desert with Asta, using the force to create a bubble around them to keep the sandstorm from consuming them. Naruto-kun, don't be like that. Once we arrive in Suna, we can pay that Gaara kid a visit, assist him with my old friend, and correct a major flaw in the world. Asta, who had been by his side the entire journey, saw Naruto use the force to expand the bubble while looking through the swirling mass of particles that could only be found at a beach when it wasn't a desert. The demonic duo had been traveling on foot for some time now, saving a few people here and there, killing a few bandit camps there, and generally making himself known to the world one good deed at a time. They were now in Wind Country, making their way to Suna through a raging sandstorm that was preventing them from reaching their destination. We should have been in Suna about 3 days ago, but this sandstorm had made things very difficult, Naruto explained, as the storm had come and gone like the winds that had caused it. Naruto-kun, please be patient. That's what Revan always said to you when you encountered a roadblock. When you become impatient, you cause more harm than good. Asta had been curious about what the multiple holocron forged projection knew and was surprised that a mortal like Revan had mastered war so well. I've been as patient with the sand in my shoes as I have with the storm that has obstructed our path. No longer. Naruto said this as he reached out through the force, mixing chakra to manipulate the wind, his elemental affinity, and silence the sandstorm with his fury, empowering him. From Suna. What Naruto didn't realize about the sandstorm was that it was created not by nature, but by a person who could manipulate sand in various areas when focused. This individual was a boy with red hair, tired eyes with bags under them, and a crazy psychotic sand demon speaking to him through his own mind. Subaku no Gaara was the name of this young man. It was part of his training to master the power of sand that his mother had given him since birth and used to defend himself against assassins sent by his father to kill him. His brother and sister were terrified of him, as they should have been, because he had no feelings for them and would crush them if they offended him. However, as the sandstorm he created dissipated against his wishes, the red-haired Subaku no Gaara sensed something was wrong, prompting the boy to raise an eyebrow. Someone powerful is on the way. Someone with the ability to overthrow my control over the sand. Is this another assassin dispatched by my father? It doesn't matter. Let this person come so I can kill him like all the others, and show these people that my existence cannot be erased. Gaara thought as he looked towards the area where he had caused the sandstorm, sensing that something was indeed there. Someone was coming to Suna for a specific reason, and it was coming to see one Subaku no Gaara. 1 day later. Naruto and Asta entered Suna without incident after presenting the necessary papers given to them by the Hokage to allow them to enter any allied village they desired. Granted, The current alliance between the Leaf and Suna was strained at the moment as a result of the Wind Daimyo's recent decisions concerning his village, but it still had to be honored, and Naruto was going to make sure it was. Not many people around, and on such a clear day, Asta observed as she noticed the area around them was deserted, implying that people here were afraid of something, or rather, someone. That means whoever is scaring the crap out of people is obviously around here, Naruto said, sensing the fear and sheer rage in this place. How do you know that, Naruto-kun? Asta asked, sensing what he did but knowing it wasn't for them, and feeling Shukaku's demonic taint everywhere. I detect a disruption in the force. Our intended target is close, but he doesn't want us to think we know he's close, so he'll keep an eye on us for the time being. Naruto sensed Gaara was about 2 rooftops away to his left, watching him with steel eyes that held no mercy for anyone who crossed him. The fact that these people are in their dwellings told us that, Asta said, as she had a fix on Shukaku's vessel and knew where he was, just like Naruto. He believes we are the same people who were sent to kill him. We believe we are arrogant and foolish, and that our names cause people to tremble in fear. He is waiting for us to make an error or mistake so that we will underestimate him. However, that is not how I want him to see us, so we will not do what he expects us to do. Naruto said this as he walked towards the tallest building, the Kazecage's tower, where the Kazekage lived. So, unlike the others, they're not going to go after me with an inflated ego, and they sensed my presence without being terrified. Interesting, Gaara thought as he vanished in a swirl of sand, and decided to wait for his assassins elsewhere. When Naruto entered the Kazekage tower, he noticed that people treated him the same way they did at the Hokage tower. Looking at him as if he were nothing to them, but hating Naruto for no reason other than the fact that he was from Konoha, and the alliance they had with the Leaf was slowly killing them like a slow-acting poison. Naruto knew that if this wasn't changed, Suna wouldn't be allies for much longer, so he used it to get close enough to strike right at the vital spot of the Leaf. It was one of the reasons Naruto was here, as it was a secret mission given to him by the Hokage, who assigned the young Namikaze to change certain aspects of the village alliance. As a result, it would no longer be hurting Suna, as the now dead members of the 2 councils had been opposed to it, and with them out of the way, things could change dramatically. With another wave of his hand, Naruto opened the doors to the Kazekage's office and knocked away the man's anbu. The Kazekage, surprised and outraged by the unauthorized entrance, rose to his feet and sent out an impressive display of chakra to intimidate the Namikaze. Naruto just smirked. Your strength is impressive. Very impressive. You certainly deserve to be called a Kage. Despite the fact that you are a weakling in comparison to the old man in the Leaf, Naruto chuckled as he saw the Kazekage become enraged and flare even more of his chakra, knowing he had gotten a rise out of the cage. You dare say that to me when you are nothing more than a child who was nothing more than a gleam in your parents' eyes when I took this title and ruled over Suna with an iron fist. Exclaimed the enraged Kazekage, as he sent a heavy blast of killer intent at Naruto, who cocked his head to the side, and then released his own, which crushed the cages by far. Be careful what you say, Kazekage-sama, because iron sinks quickly beneath the soft sand, or is it your brain that has softened while sitting in that chair? Naruto refused to be bullied by some arrogant fool who didn't even understand what it meant to be a demon's host, let alone the trials that come with it. Who are you to address me in this manner? You insignificant speck, I should kill you myself. Said the Kazekage, as he was more than prepared to and would continue to do until he was unable to move with Naruto's hands stretched out. Kazekage-sama, you underestimate my power. I didn't come here to pick a fight with you, but to renegotiate certain terms of the alliance you and the Leaf formed. Naruto said this before relinquishing control of the man and sitting in a nearby chair, next to Asta. What? For what purpose? Is that old Hokage of yours hoping to bleed us dry even more so that we will die sooner? Said the Kazekage, surprised that the boy could stop his movements and that Konoha would want to renegotiate with him. certain developments in the leaf have altered the political climate that once hung over it like a dark cloud. Now that such things have been removed, the Hokage has the ability to change certain aspects of the alliance treaty so that your village does not suffer as a result, but rather helps your village grow and helps us stay allies during times of peace. Naruto noticed the man looking at him with surprised eyes, and the Namikaze realized why the man was so surprised. "Explain," the Kazekage said as he sat back down in his chair, calculatingly looking at the masked Namikaze. "The Hokage believes that the alliance is causing Suna more harm than good, which the Hokage does not want, and that certain changes must be made in order for our two villages to remain allies. Am I mistaken?" Naruto noticed the man's expression was a mix of surprise, excitement, and fear. Perhaps. However, while the Hokage wishes to change things in order to help heal our alliance, I do not believe that what he is doing now will help us stay friends, and even if we did, it would take several years. Because of the alliance, the Wind Daimyo has already begun reducing our strength and assigning missions that he would normally assign to us. "To the leaf," said the Kazekage, narrowing his eyes at Naruto, who nodded his head in understanding, sensing the man's frustration with the Wind Daimyo. "Such an action is correctable. All I have to do is send a messenger to the Hokage and request that he contact the Wind Daimyo to stop sending us missions so that he can keep his own village strong. After all, Konoha isn't the only village out there, and Iwa, like the leaf, has always despised Suna. Although Iwa had no affection for any of the other countries, the top two were Konoha at number 1, and Suna a distant second." "I see, but even then, that is only part of the problem, as there are many more that need to be dealt with, and not all of them can simply be solved by speaking to the Wind Daimyo," said the Kazekage, as he watched Naruto nod yet again, the mask the boy wore over his face revealing nothing, which bothered the Kage greatly. "Whatever problems you have with the alliance, I am confident that we can reach some form of compromise that shows neither of us is weak, and that these negotiations are done to show that allies do not let others suffer," Naruto said, as he saw the man nod his head, his eyes filled with relief, and the demon vessel went on to hear the rest of the Kazekage's complaints about the treaty. A few hours later. "That man may be a Kage, but in my opinion, he's more of a bitch than a man, and whines too much if you ask me," Asta said, as she had never heard anyone whine like that before, and it bothered her that her master had to listen to such a person when all he should have done was kill him so that someone else could take his place. Perhaps. It doesn't matter right now. When these changes become official, Suna will remain an ally in the future, and seeing us as friends is far more beneficial than seeing us as enemies. Something on which our current adversaries would have preyed and used against us in the future. One weak person against one strong person is not a threat, but many weak people acting as one is, and that is what would have happened if we had let this go on. The fools who were once members of the two councils were so blinded and fattened by their own power that they did not want to change the status quo because they knew it would diminish their power. Those who are reckless with power do not deserve it and should be humbled by its loss so they can understand what it means to be absolutely nothing. Naruto walked over to a playground where the kids were laughing like it was any other day. "You had a vision of the future that didn't favor those you care about," Asta stated as a fact rather than a statement, knowing that Naruto had visions of the future when he slept at times, some of which were good and some of which were bad. "Without intervention, I would have been weak. Suna would have sided with Orochimaru in invading us during the Chunin exams 4 years from now, and the old man would have died fighting his former pupil. That's a big yes in my book for what I saw as a vision of the future." Naruto reached out through the force, sensing Gaara waiting for him not far away. "Your intended target is close, and it appears that his siblings are keeping a close eye on us," Asta said, noticing the Shukaku vessel's older brother and bigger sister watching them from behind. "They probably suspect we're here to kill Gaara after hearing rumors about what we did when we first arrived," Naruto said, as he sensed the two young Suna children and ignored them because they weren't a factor in what he needed to do at the time. "Should we pay a visit to Gaara?" Asta was looking at her container when she noticed his masked head turn to look at her. "Yes. The sooner we deal with him, the better for everyone here in Suna in the Leaf in the near future. Naruto and Asta vanished in the blink of an eye, shocking Gaara's siblings from their hiding place. In other news from Suna. So you've finally arrived. I'd been waiting for so long that I was beginning to believe you wouldn't try to kill me today. It would have been a first, given how many people have tried to kill me for the price on my head within 15 minutes of arriving in Suna. Gaara noticed the two people in front of him and knew they were strong. Subaku no Gaara, we're not here to kill you. I was hoping you'd recognize me from the past, Naruto said as he lifted his hand to remove his helmet, revealing his face to the Suna boy, making Gaara's eyes widen in recognition of that spirit that had come to see him years before. I thought Mother was playing tricks on me back then, but it appears I was mistaken, and you were trying to speak to me when no one else was around, Gaara said, still recognizing the boy's face after so many years, and hearing Shukaku howling at him that the fox was near. Has your demon been causing you problems over the years? Naruto took several steps forward while tossing his helmet to Asta, and noticed Gaara's sand slowly draining from his gourd. Do you really need to ask? Gaara asked, as the sand swarming around him began to swirl dangerously, potentially harming Naruto if he took a few more steps. No. Gaara, I sensed your anguish. If you let me, I can take it away. Naruto took another step just outside the wrath of the swirling sound, and Gaara's eyes narrowed, warned the Namikaze to be cautious. Do you mean to kill me by taking it away? Gaara didn't want to die yet, and he was itching to command his sand to consume the person in front of him. No. Your seal is broken. If it were stronger, it would allow you to sleep and help you maintain your slowly deteriorating sanity. Granted, killing you would be the quickest way out, but your siblings would be furious, and I don't like seeing people suffer needlessly at my hands unless they deserve it. Naruto's eyes turned red with slits, and Gaara's eyes widened in fear at Shukaku's memory of those eyes. You are her vessel, Gaara said, looking over at Asta and seeing the same red eyes that Naruto had changed into. Yes. My seal was strong enough to keep Asta contained while imprisoned inside of me without having any negative impact on her. As I previously stated, your seal is incomplete, so Shukaku prevents you from sleeping and gradually transforms you into a psychopath. Is that what you're looking for? Your father used his power as a cage to turn you into a weapon, whereas I have the power to turn you into a person of significance and ensure that you do not repeat your father's mistakes. Naruto had a lot to teach the boy in front of him, and once the demon was properly caged, the red-haired boy could start learning. Do you swear on your life that you will assist me? Gaara knew this person was strong, and the demon lord next to him was no pushover in terms of being the strongest of the 9. Gaara, I swear it in the name of the god who inspired the man to create the first ramen bowl. Will you now allow me to assist you? Naruto folded his arms to await Gaara's decision, hoping that the boy still had some sense within his already twisted mind. When do we start? Gaara asked, commanding the sand to retreat back into his enormous gourd while mentally fighting off Shukaku's howls of protest. At the moment. Let's do this at your place so we have some form of security while performing this minor procedure. Naruto nodded as he followed the red-haired son of the Kazekage back to his home to do what needed to be done. Konoha office Hokage's 2 years later. Life sure has become interesting thanks to Naruto, said the Hokage, sighing as he sat back in his chair, reading his Icha Icha Paradise book Jiraiya gave him 2 years ago after arriving 1 week after Naruto left. The super pervert, like the other members of the Legendary Three, was taken aback by what happened to Naruto and how the fox had escaped from her prison. Let us not forget Jiraiya's stunned expression upon learning that Kyuubi was a woman, as well as Naruto's knowledge of the Sanin's connection with him. Jiraiya had immediately set out to find the boy, acting as if an enraged PMS-fueled Tsunade was chasing after him after she had caught him peeping on her again. From Sandame's perspective, it was quite amusing. The message the Sandame received from Jiraiya 2 weeks later, however, stated that while he had caught up on the boy's trail, it was heading towards Suna, and that the boy was quickly making a name for himself. The day after Jiraiya's report, the once-old Hokage received a message from Naruto, a fox summon, and it told Hiruzen what the young Namikaze was up to in Suna with the alliance and helping the Kage's son with his own inner demon. After reading what Naruto told him about the alliance needing to be changed, as well as the Wind Daimyo giving missions to Konoha rather than Suna being a major issue, the Hokage saw fit to change that, as well as the other changes required to allow both villages to remain allies. The Hokage contacted the Wind Daimyo, stating that Konoha would no longer accept missions from him, and Suna wished to prove itself worthy of his attention. The Hokage suggested that the Wind Daimyo continue to support Suna by assigning missions to the village that were hostile to both the Leaf and Suna. The Wind Daimyo agreed and thanked the Sandaime for his advice because he didn't want people to think Suna wasn't deserving of being one of the strongest shinobi villages in the elemental countries. However, what concerned the Sandaime was after Naruto left Suna, and the boy and his demon did not tell him where they were going, as well as Jiraiya not reporting in on time from the previous report. Within 2 months, a messenger arrived from Jiraiya informing him that he had made contact with Naruto and that the reason he had failed to report in was due to Naruto. Jiraiya also stated that he had never witnessed anything like what Naruto had done to him and that he would be assisting the boy with anything he could teach him that wasn't in the Namikaze library. When Jiraiya wrote to him about Asta telling him how she felt about him not being a good godfather, the Sandaime flinched while covering his privates discreetly. To take all that punishment and not be killed for it, the super pervert must have some kind of bloodline. "Is there something bothering you, old man?" Jiraiya asked as he saw the Fa Section 8 of the old-looking form that was once true and wished Naruto could restore his youth. While the Sannin was still being healed, Naruto said, "You're lucky I don't make you older and leave you to die at the hands of hungry wolves." "No. I'm just relaxing today, but I was thinking about training to make it appear that I'm not as old as I'm supposed to be," said the Sandaime, who had to pretend to have some strength left while looking old, and felt bad that he had to hide it from his own family. Far be it that women find out he's young again and get laid with dozens of hot women, Jiraiya thought, wishing he'd gotten what the old man got instead of what Naruto gave him. Asta's rapid 1000 kicks jutsu to the groin. "How's Naruto?" asked the Sandaime, worriedly looking at the Sannin because Naruto's mind could go from stable to psychotic at any time if the Namikaze so desired, and the last thing he needed was the boy losing it. How could anyone enjoy doing top-secret S-class missions without having a mental breakdown? Actually, it's quite good. He completed his last mission, which was to kill the so-called warlord in Moss country who was attempting to incite a rebellion, and brought the man's head to the Moss daimyo for payment. "Here's what the kid gave me to pass along to you," Jiraiya said as he threw a scroll filled with the money sealed away to the Sandaime, and the man caught before unsealing it to see its contents, because all missions done like this required that the village get a decent cut of such high S-ranked missions, with the remainder going to the assassin who did the deed. Everything appears to be in order. How is his reputation faring now that he's been away from the village? The Sandaime knew Naruto's reputation was becoming infamous in the elemental countries, just as Subaku no Gaara was in Suna. In fact, 4 months ago, the two boys worked on a joint mission together and split the payment 50-50 as a clear sign of mutual respect between them, if not the shinobi villages they worked for. Notorious is a simple word. They say the kid is the Shinigami in flesh, with the ability to take your soul and the ability to kill anyone he deems guilty. After what he did in removing the old 2 councils, the description is fairly accurate, and he has built quite an underground network to tell him who's being naughty and who's being nice. The damn network rivals mine, and he doesn't even rely on women to do it," exclaimed Jiraiya, as he attempted to explain the whole birds and bees, or the talk thing, to Naruto, but Asta had stopped him, punched the poor Sannin into a tree 100 feet away, and decided to do it herself. "I see. Is it possible to resurrect Naruto? I understand he is currently on a mission, but would it be possible to do so after the mission?" Hinata was worried about the boy, even though he sent messages to her via Fox summons, and the Hokage knew that the boy was losing his childhood because of these missions. Maybe, but you'll have to wait another year, and even then, Naruto will want to be of sufficient rank to match his shinobi prowess. I honestly don't know what to rank him as, and anything lower than Junin rank would be pushing it. Even the rank of Junin seems insulting, but we can't give him a Sannin title because that would really freak people out, and the organization that my spies were working for would start targeting him sooner. Jiraiya sighed, knowing Naruto was more than capable of holding his own, and Akatsuki was still lying in wait to be fully deployed at the right moment. Jiraiya had no idea when it would be, which was unsettling in and of itself. How do you feel about Asta? Sandaime knew Naruto respected the female demon and had grown accustomed to using the fox's name given to her by Naruto. Her powers have dwindled over the last 2 years, as you predicted, with her power flowing to Naruto as a result of the seal on him. She can still kick a lot of shinobi's asses from high Junin to low Sannin, so she'll be able to hold her own if she gets into a fight with Naruto on missions. Jiraiya spoke up because Asta had helped Naruto with some of his missions on multiple occasions and had done so very well. When the seal finishes its job, she will be mortal for a short time before regaining her powers from what Naruto told me about their deal, and then she will have all 9 tails of her power back, said the Sandaime, rubbing his chin and his beard. I could make a seal to prevent her powers from returning, but it might enrage Naruto, and when he does, he'll be more powerful than anyone in the elemental countries, Jiraiya said, as he could start making something right now and have it ready for when the time came to stop Asta's power from returning. No. Naruto has complete faith in Asta because she has kept every promise she made to him, allowing him to ascend to half-demon status and eventually full demon status. I shudder to think what would happen if we betrayed both of them and he took out his rage on us. Nothing will be done. No one is to be aware of Asta's slowly fading strength, as many in the village would love to get their hands on her to punish her for what happened, and wait for her power to be depleted before striking, said Sandaime, after making a public speech about Naruto's parentage and repealing the law enacted to keep the children from learning about Asta or the reason for her attack. It had an effect on the populace, but they still despised the female fox for what had happened a year before, and they would not hesitate to vent their rage on her. Yeah. I imagined the same thing you just described happening. Jiraiya knew that while people were smart, they were also stupid, arrogant, and reckless. Give Naruto this scroll with my message to have him return to Konoha in a year so he can readjust back into the village, the Sandaime said as he handed Jiraiya a scroll and began to walk out the door to train. That will do. Do you need assistance sparring? Jiraiya dropped the hinge at the door as he saw his sensei look at him with a smirk on his face. When I was showing my age, you couldn't beat me. What makes you think you'll be able to beat me when I'm younger? Hiruzen noticed his student grumbling and blushing with embarrassment at not being able to beat his sensei while his old body was still old. All the Sandaime could do was laugh before resuming training and removing the henge. 1 year later, Konoha. I'm delighted to be back here. Naruto-kun? Asta said as she walked with him to the Hokage Tower to meet the man known as the Fire Shadow. In general, I found peace long after I left this place. Now that I'm back here at the old man's request, I'd like to speak with Hinata-chan afterwards because we both know she misses me. Naruto had missed Hinata terribly and knew she had missed him as well. While walking through Konoha's streets to see the Hokage, Naruto noticed people pointing at them, and their expressions were mixed. Some had fearful expressions, others regretted, and the younger generation showed respect for them, with the occasional child following their parents and hating him or Asta. When they arrived at the Hokage Tower, the people inside acted similarly to those outside, and they wondered what the demonic duo were up to in Konoha. Not that they'd know, because Naruto and Asta walked right into the third Hokage's office, where the memory of how he entered the last time was still ingrained in the minds of those who had heard the rumors. Naruto, my boy, how are you? exclaimed the Sandaime as he saw the once troubled youth now standing before him, relieved to see him with a calm demeanor. Actually, it's quite good. I've found what I'm looking for to keep my anger under control. Naruto sat in the Hokage's office, removing his helmet while Asta sat beside him. I'm overjoyed for you, Naruto. Your true heritage was revealed as you desired, but I was concerned for you because Iwa held a grudge against your father after what happened during the previous war, and I hope you didn't have too much trouble dealing with their shinobi. The news that a Namikaze was still alive had caused quite a stir among the Tsuchikage, said the Sandaime. Some Iwa shinobi tried to kill me, I won't deny that, but no more than Konoha tried to do when I was a little kid, and I made sure that Iwa knew not to pick a fight with me, Naruto said, as he had encountered several dozen Iwa shinobi a few months after leaving Suna when Jiraiya wasn't around to teach him things, and sent the Iwa shinobi back with what? Naruto sent back the last Iwa shinobi he killed with a note on the dead man's head that said, "Send any more and I'll take your head next," and the deceased Iwa shinobi's head exploded due to an explosive tag hidden behind the back of the shinobi's head, severely injuring the Tsuchikage. Yes. The Tsuchikage was adamant about bringing you to Iwa to be executed for what you did and for the crimes your father committed during the previous war, said the Hokage, who shot down the idea and threatened the Rock Shadow with another war with Iwa, which the Rock Shadow couldn't afford. He can chew on his hat for all I care, Naruto said, refusing to bow down to this fool and threatening to kill Tsuchikage if he continued to irritate him. That's great to hear. Now, as for you, Naruto, I need you to spend some time in Konoha and hopefully interact with the students at the academy, said the Sandaime, because he wanted the boy to have friends he could rely on rather than just acquaintance, and to help the boy embrace the village. They only have 1 year until graduation, old man. I don't think being a student there would help because I'm already a shinobi, albeit in secret, Naruto said as he saw the man sigh and lean back because it was true. Naruto, I want to be brief with you when I say I need you at the academy not only to gain some social interaction with children your age, but to help me with a mission and fix a problem at the academy that requires someone of your expertise, said the Hokage, as he did have a problem at the academy and had planned to deal with it, just not in this manner with Naruto doing it. Is he a traitor? Naruto stated bluntly, but figured getting to the point would be the best thing to do at this point in order to find out what the Hokage knew. Yes. Someone at the academy has been attempting to gain access to student information by utilizing his teaching position. I also suspect that the same traitor is using his position to learn where certain sensitive pieces of information are hidden under the guise of needing to assist his or her student with problems. According to the Hokage, finding the traitor was difficult because many teachers looked at such information and requested specific things. I see. Okay, I'll go to the academy, but not as a student, as my talents would be useless and the traitor would be suspicious of me entering as a student, as you had hoped. Naruto explained that being in an academy disguised as a student would alert the traitor that the Hokage was becoming suspicious of him and that he would have to keep a low profile for a while. Not as a student, of course. What happens next? The Hokage raised an eyebrow at Naruto's words, unable to see the boy as anything else. As a teacher, Naruto replied, surprising both the Hokage and Asta with the idea of Naruto being a teacher rather than a student. Are you sure? Asked the Hokage, concerned that the boy would miss out on making friends because he was more of a sensei and not one of them. Yes. Even now, I'm sure the shinobi in Konoha are aware of my status in the infamous title, the Shinigami, for what I accomplished on several missions you assigned me. Having me as an instructor would simply tell the traitor that I'm looking to unwind for a few hours while teaching students what I know, and that I'm not looking for someone who wants to betray Konoha, said Naruto, who noticed the Hokage nod and realized what Naruto was thinking. So, how about Asta? I don't think she should be too far away from you because the villagers will try to harm her. The Hokage said this because he didn't want Naruto to be angry with the village again if someone tried to be stupid and go after the female fox. She'll become a teacher, just like me. She'll be in charge of the academy's girls in order to rid it of all the fangirls. Naruto saw Asta look at him again in surprise, but she nodded in understanding, and she would gladly help the boys separate those who weren't worthy of being shinobi from those who were. Okay, fine. I'll prepare the necessary paperwork to make things official. However, ensure that the traitor is present for questioning so that we can learn who he or she is working for. Hiruzen was curious as to who this person was working for and what the traitor was after. I, too, want the traitor to live. This person most likely despises me and Asta because of who we are. We look forward to informing this traitor that his feelings are shared by all arrogant meatbags like him, said Naruto as he rose from his chair and exited the room, Asta close behind. A week later, the academy. Rumors of 2 new teachers entering the academy spread before the ink on the papers making everything official had even dried, and the students at the academy waited with bated breath to find out who they would be learning from while there. The students sat in their seats, waiting for their teachers to enter the room and be introduced, and they were not disappointed when the 2 figures entered, causing everyone to gasp. Alright, everyone, allow me to introduce your 2 well-known teachers, and please do not disrespect them, Sasuke. Iruka knew the Uchiha was spoiled, despite his mother's efforts to keep him away from the boy's ambition for power, and the people were not helping either by giving Sasuke whatever he wanted. Hello everyone, my name is Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, and the lovely woman next to me is Asta, though many of you may know her better by her title. Kyuubi. Many faces paled at Naruto's words, and the boys smirked at them because it would be easy to keep the kids in line if they got rowdy. Damn. He's here teaching these brats with that demon bitch of his. No matter, I can still get what I want and make it look like the demon's fault, Mizuki reasoned, unaware that Naruto was reading his mind, and the Namikaze knew right away who the traitor was. All that remained was to gather evidence because mind reading wasn't solid evidence and the fact that he could read minds was something many shinobi would frown upon if they knew. Before we begin our first of many classes this year, I just want to say that this job teaching here will only be for this year, as I need a break from my missions and a break from constantly working. From what I've heard this week, Iruka has been teaching all the basics of what it means to be a shinobi, but from here on out, the real training begins because there is more to being a shinobi than the basics, Naruto said as he looked over the class, seeing some of them look pale at his words, with the Nara mentally saying, troublesome. And the Uchiha looked hungry at the prospect of gaining power. He's making it sound like all I've been doing for the past couple of years is wiping their noses, Iruka thought, a tick on his brow twitching. Does anyone have any questions about either of us or what we're going to teach you? As everyone's hands shot up to ask them questions, Naruto smiled back at the class in a fox-like manner, pleased to see some strong girls in the class. Perfect. Strong girls now will mean strong women who will become strong mates for my master in the near future, Asta thought as she assisted the boy with the talk, and him controlling his demonic instincts that surfaced when his Yuko form was activated. Oh yes. This 1 year at the academy was going to do wonders for everyone and get really interesting.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.